this is new, isn't it? We're outside today. Welcome to my little Zen den. This is my little slice of peace and tranquility at my back garden. I've got my veggies growing over there. I've got my medicine growing over there. And I thought it was a really good idea because the sun's shining and I am practicing what I preach. I am grounding myself and I am doing as much self-care as I can today because it's been a tricky old week. I thought it was the ideal environment for me to talk to you on this week's podcast episode about Mojo School. The launch is this week. In fact, when you're watching this, the launch is tomorrow. And I'm really excited to bring you my life's work all in one place, all in a really cool technology space. It's really easy to engage with. It's just the way people want to engage these days, isn't it? But blending ancient wisdom with modern science and technology. So kind of a new way of doing things. It's the Mojo Revolution. So this week, as you know, if you've been following the podcast, I have been talking to some really incredible people. We've been talking about the education system for a good few weeks, how we learn, some of the things that have gone awry over the last few years, and how this is resulting in people struggling so much, and how it's not getting any better, and we need to make some changes if we want to see improvements to our mental health. So today I want to continue the conversation around the medicine wheel framework and how I'm looking at bringing that into my work really authentically, and looking at trying to balance that fine art of balancing ancient indigenous wisdom and the respect for the cultures that they've come from, which is all over the world, different pieces of wisdom, different tools, different techniques, and really respectfully bring that into the space that I'm in, because I know that our culture and our community so desperately need this right now, but need it in a way that's engaging and easy to understand for all of the things that we're experiencing. So that's what Mojo School is all about. Mojo School of Holistic Wellness. And we are looking at balancing everything on the medicine wheel framework so that we can access optimum health, identity, passion, purpose, breaking through all those blocks, doing that shadow work, shining the light on all the things that haven't been serving us, and moving and transforming into a new space. That is my life's work. I didn't realize it for many, many, many years, but for the last 10 years, if you've been following my story, I suddenly started to have some penny drop moments that made me realize, actually, this is the path I'm on, and this is my truth, and this is what I need to start to do. So those of you that know me and maybe have come across my work before will know that for the last few years, probably last 5 years, certainly last 2 years, I have been working in communities and spaces and places where there is a lot of unmet need. And that's been part of my journey, part of my story, part of the learning that I needed to experience is what is really going on for people, and the level of absolute hopelessness, despair, trauma, the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the behavioural responses to the things that people are experiencing without any help and support to process them is off the scale. I knew it was going to be tough, I knew it was going to be challenging, but I wasn't prepared for the level of despair and lack of support that I came across. So I had a little bit of a challenging time myself, going back probably the last 18 months, knowing what my purpose is and knowing what I believe I'm here to do and my small part to play in it. And understanding the practicalities of how that would be possible became really difficult. And then throw in the mix my own specific nuances, my own filter, my own lens, my own trauma responses, my massive people pleasing, the danger for me to end up in codependent relationships where I'm the fixer. Really dangerous stuff. And I could recognize this pattern because I was mojoing myself at the same time, recognizing these patterns coming up time and time again that I had to work on. So my walking the talk element and my bit of shadow work that I've been relentlessly trying to pursue is to suss that out. Where does the distinction lie? Where is the line? Where am I being absolutely helpful and doing what I feel I'm here to do? And where is this really toxic and it jumping over the lines into trauma drive, codependency? Where am I actually being part of the problem and not part of the solution? Because there is a fine line with the kind of work that I do. I know a lot of you out there, coaches and therapists, will relate to that. A lot of us are raging people pleasers and perfectionists because of our own stuff, and we want to help others because it kind of gives us that space to be able to feel like we are worthy and we are doing something. And it also helps us mask our own stuff that we don't want to look at. So shadow work all the way for everybody. So I kind of had one of many difficult situations where I was forced, even though my instincts had been telling me for a while to do that, obviously it's difficult, isn't it? Even when you are super spiritual like me and you think you know everything and listen to your guidance all the time, when it's guidance that tells you to do something you don't want to do, you tend to kind of put it off and like, yeah, well, yeah, I know, I'll get round to that. And what happens is inevitably something swipes your legs from under you and makes you do what you've been told to do by your gut for many, many months and even years sometimes. So that happened to me, and it's happened to me a few times over the years, and I know that's part of the learning for me. But I had to stop and I had to reassess and I had to look really seriously at what I was doing, what was my actual identity, passion, purpose, what was the future for me, what did it look like, what made a difference to me, what made a difference to my health, what did I need to work on, what would impact my family, what blocks have I got to work on, and how can I show up? How can I show up as the most authentic version of me, and how can I really, really make a difference and help and be of service whilst not sacrificing myself, which is the big challenge, getting the balance right. So that's the work I've been doing, been really working hard on it. And as part of the process, I've been journaling and I've been writing and I've been creating content around these learnings. And that's, part of what's been built into Mojo School. It's walking the talk and then sharing the wisdom. And there's always new wisdom along the way because there's always new learning points, right? You never complete life on expert level. And if people out there say that they have, just do what I say because I know everything, then they're big fat liars. So don't listen to that. So I've taken some time, and it's been really difficult because a lot of people, I got to the point where there was an unmanageable amount of people in my spaces and in my working week and in my inboxes, and my boundaries that I had really worked hard to put into place, I was leaping over them because I felt I had to. And even though I knew, because I'd done so much work on that and I'd put provision in place and I'd put safeguards in place, now I know that it was just a bit of a test and it was more learning that I needed to do because I wasn't quite there yet. But at the time I thought, I'm assessing this well. I know this isn't right, but it's a means to an end and it's a short-term solution, and I'll pull it back there and I'll do this instead. And I was wrong. There's another way to do it. Your gut will tell you every single time. So it got to this, uncontrollable space where I was making myself poorly again. And I knew that I was heading towards burnout because I knew the physical flag. So that's one piece of learning that I've carried through with me. I swore to myself that I would never let myself get to the point that I had before. And if the physical symptoms are kicking in, I'll give myself a kick in the pants because I should have noticed way before the physical symptoms kicked in. And that helps me hear my inner voice a little bit clearer. So this was all going on, and I'm on the right track. I know I am. This is what I'm meant to do. This is me. This is my purpose. And at the same time, my body doesn't like this. My emotional state is not good. My mental state is not good. So where am I going wrong? How can I bring the two together and get some balance? And that's when I started to play around with the thought that I needed to have a space where this knowledge that people really responded well to, and the things that people wanted from me and needed from me and worked so well and they didn't seem to be able to get anywhere else. The incredible feedback I've had over the years is just that. The way I do things, the way I engage, the way I speak, the way I present things seems to have a little magic formula to it. But I'm only one person and I can't duplicate myself, and I can't just be drained, in one space when there's so many other spaces that could benefit. So I thought, right, this is what I've got to think about now. How do I get this accessible for people so that the tools and resources are there? Everything that I feel will help and that I know and that I've built over the years is in a space where it can be shared without me having to run around like an absolute lunatic trying to deliver it in person, or trying to be, answering messages, which I've always had last few years I've had a good cut-off point there. So very rarely you'll get a message from me after working hours, which was a big barrier. But I still reply to people in the morning, whether the boundary said so or not, which is another learning curve, I guess. So, but the point is, people needed this, people wanted this, but how do I do it so that it's not me building another relationship that's like dependency? Well, I build the toolkits, I build the education, I build the toolkits, I build the space where people can access that and they can be on their own journey, and they can take the driving seat, they can take the reins, they can take the pen back, they can take authorship back of their own life and not wait for somebody else to fix them. And that seemed like the ideal solution for me, because the people who are ready to heal, and if they're in the space and they really want the knowledge and the tools and the skills to change their life around, they will embrace it with open arms. If people aren't ready to heal and they are frustrated at the fact that, well, no, I want you personally because you make me feel better, that's a really good indicator for me that I've made a mistake and I've really not served that person, and I've created a space where they're dependent on me as the person, because my energy and the way I do and just having somebody there as a crutch is what makes them feel better. And that's not right, and it's not okay. And as the kind of the professional in the room, it's my job not to let that happen. But it's the way I am. So the only way I could do that was by removing myself from the room. The tools are there now. It's built. Everything I could share with somebody, every bit of help, whether that's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, it's there. It's there. And it's such a cathartic release to know that I have it somewhere, I have it stored somewhere. And these tools and resources I can use for workshops. You know, if somebody wants me for a workshop, wants to book me for a workshop or session, I have this really, really amazing digital toolkit, and all the resources are already built in, and helps my neurospicy mind from having it all there and trying to just pull it down when people are in crisis. It's there, and it's very specific. And that's really nice for me. It's really good to know I have that, and it's really well-rounded. It's not just Mindset Mojo. It's not just the mental health crisis stuff. It's the stuff that will stop people having to come back for that. It's the roots before the fruits, you know. It's the whole space. It's the holistic. It's the whole person. So it's really, really exciting. And the whole point of doing this was to base it around the medicine wheel, because I had realised that my niche and my special superpower and what I was originally guided to do was Mindset Mojo. And you'll have seen the logo, and you might have been part of a workshop or a course. And I have to do this. I knew I had to do this. I had worked with a couple of neuroscientist friends who had kind of popped the lid off and opened my eyes to some of these concepts. And then I relentlessly began to research and build and create ways that I could be the translator between this jargon, this medical and scientific jargon, and layman's terms and real life, and how it impacted people and what it meant in real terms, in real time, to real people. And that seems to be my specific part to play. So I built over the years brilliant workshops that I've loved doing over the last 8 years, and I have, you know, the original framework of Mindset Mojo has developed over the years, and there's so many different versions of it, and you can see how it's come on. It's got nothing but good feedback. People have really responded well to it, from all ages, all demographics, all spaces, and I was really proud of that, and still am really proud of it. But I did recognise it was only part of the whole, because people may then have a grasp on what's going on for them. And the initial thing I feel people want to reach out for is to understand what's going on. People want the mental health support. They want to understand this top-down approach, chopping the head off the body, and want to understand what is going on. So that has to be the first point for me, is to access people what they need when they need it. This is what's going on for you. This is how it works. Let's start to reframe and reshape how that looks in your life. Here's some immediate relief tools. Here's a strategy so you can start to build in some profound change for your life. And that's just top level stuff, you know, top level stuff. And I've built that over the years, but also recognizing in the background that if people aren't aware and don't have the opportunity to completely transform their whole holistic selves and look at their soul and look at their, without any kind of religious affiliation, their spiritual development, the development in something bigger than self, keeping my own versions out of that and my own, as much as I can, my own lens, and just keep it in general terms of whatever that means to you and whatever form that comes into you. It's connecting in with that and understanding how impactful having faith and having connection with something bigger than self, and understanding the connection between all things and all people and all the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, as we do in shamanic practice. Having that grasp and that understanding is a game changer. And that, you know, that's a different space altogether. People need to have the psychological stuff first and the mental health stuff first. And then when that door opens, which is what we were doing in sessions, we were popping the lids off, we were opening the door for that, and people were saying, wow, I never knew that. That's made me look at my life completely differently, and I know what I need to do now. Where is the support for that? And there was the problem, because we didn't have that option. We didn't have the funding or the support or the framework or the staffing to do the other parts. So people were left hanging, and I started to believe, gosh, is it more damaging to have people have some hope and have that first level of sort of shift, but then there's nothing else for them to go to? Is it worse in a way? So I don't believe it is, to be honest with you, but it was something that I had to wrestle with. I think at least some knowledge is better than nothing, but the way the world is at the moment, especially where we are in the West, things aren't geared up for people to be able to self-heal and to be able to self-actualize. They just aren't. We have to create that. So it made so much sense to me to find a way to work completely and holistically with the medicine wheel framework. And I did battle long and hard with thinking, well, the whole point of this is to disconnect people from technology and connect people back in with everything. So I tried lots of different ways to do that, but people aren't in the space, and there's a lot of psychology behind this, which I won't go into, but people aren't in the space to do that, even though they're desperately unhappy and desperately needing something. You can offer, and we've done this multiple times, you can offer the solutions on a plate. You can say, here is this, you can do it for free, you can get funding and do it for free. it doesn't work. It's frustrating, but it doesn't work because people do not engage, right, for a multitude of reasons. So I had to think a bit differently. I think, how do we get in this space where people are understanding what's going on and the pennies are starting to drop themselves, and then when that's done, how do we then engineer that space where they can cultivate and they can map their journey and they can find their route through with some stable anchor points along the way, so that you're providing the tools and you're not trying to fix. You're giving the tools and people create their own journey based on them, what they need, what their experiences are. I tried it so many different ways in the physical space, and it definitely was not going to work that way. Maybe in the future it will, but at the moment for me it wasn't. I couldn't continue with that. It was just too difficult, too many blocks. So the digital space it was. That I'm going to have to really embrace this, because we can't deny that technology is where we're at, and we can't go back and say, well, we just need to go back to how we used to live before, because that doesn't work. We need to embrace technology. We need to embrace the good parts of technology. And we need to embrace, scientific discoveries and technological discoveries and how they help to shape, get out of the space where we're going down the damaging route, and really start to use this them for good. So I thought, well, that's what I want to do, and that feels right. That really, keep hitting the mic, don't I? That really feels right. If I can do this if I can use technology in a better way, and try and get to a space of being a positive influencer in some way, that would be really cool. So that's how Mojo School became. So I found a really good online learning platform where I can build my school, and I've spent the last many weeks and months in the background toiling away, putting everything that I know and researching and building this really cool space. And it is all based around the medicine wheel. So the medicine wheel I touched on briefly before is a very ancient framework, and it's based around the circle of life, complete balance, no beginning, no ending, connection. There's so many relevant points around the symbolism of just the circle itself, the wheel itself. But the concept that I'm following really closely is, and there's a lot more and a lot deeper I want to say at this point, that people might say, well, that bit's not right, or you missed that bit, or I get that, I understand that. It's very complex and there's an awful lot in there. But I've taken what's worked for me, and I've taken the parts that I feel we need right now and simplified it, and I put it into a framework that works for what I'm doing. So there may be elements that slightly shifted to be relevant for the modern times and for the space that we're in. And that's, it just feels right. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm really happy that my people pleasing is out of the room at the moment, and it doesn't really matter. If it resonates with you, it resonates, and it will. And if it doesn't, then it's not your space, and that is cool. Both of those things are fine. I'm not trying to my old method would be to build 5,000 different versions of the schools, because if somebody said they didn't like something, I'd go, oh no, what did I do? Oh my gosh, this is not safe anymore. I need to make sure I please you as well. And if you don't like that, then I'll do that. And it don't work. That's how you get into burnout, my friends. So, I'm doing what's right for me and what's right for the people that I have worked with for a long time, and what I feel is right for us as a society at the moment. And if that resonates with you, you are going to join me on that journey. And if it doesn't, that is absolutely cool. It might do one day, it might never do. And all of those things are fine. So anyway, I digress. So medicine wheel framework, we are looking at the 4 cardinal directions, and we're looking at the elements. Okay, so there's correspondences in traditional medicine. There's correspondences with different things that we can find in nature that help the process of healing and help the process of becoming harmonious and balanced. And that works really well for me and has done for many years. And I'm starting to think to myself, why didn't I do this before? Because I've always lived this way, but very much in secret, which again, if you've watched some of the podcasts around spiritual development and the fear around being authentic and keeping things, it's probably part of that. It's like, I can't let that side of my life into the public arena. I'll just do that. It's brilliant. It helps, keeps me sane, keeps me alive, keeps me well. And everyone's going, how does she do it? Oh my gosh. I'm not going to share that with you because it's not safe. So maybe that's part of it. But all of these things that are very woo-woo and been discredited and ridiculed over the years are gaining immense traction and power, which is brilliant because they need to, because it's fundamental for our survival, in my opinion. So we start off in the East, in my particular framework. Some spaces start off in the North, grounding in the North, but I don't. My particular version and the way I was taught, the way I learnt, makes a lot of sense to me. So start off in the East. So the direction I'm in now, the East's over there. And it's the direction of new beginnings. It's where the sun rises. It's fresh starts. It's fresh thinking. New beginnings. It makes perfect sense to me to start there in the East. And in the East, the representation is the element of air. The element of air, again, swift thinking, movement. Spirit animal correspondence is the eagle. So it's about perspective. It's around soaring above and getting a bigger view, zooming out. Okay, so all of those things make perfect sense when we talk about mental health. So at Mojo School, the courses that you will find in that direction, that department around the east, the element of air, eagle medicine, is around the mental plane. It's connected to the mental plane. And we work really hard there in a really fun and engaging way on understanding what is going on in your noggin, why we think the way we do, why we feel and behave the way we do. And if things aren't working, and if there's some things that you highlight as being triggers or difficulties, how to change them. So lots of practical application there of tools, and lots based around my work within mental health. And as a first aid mental health instructor, you know, it connects really well with the very traditional Western approaches, spiced up a little bit with Eastern ancient medicine. So really cool. Lots of things there. There's 4 courses in that area in the East that you can have a play around with and you can have a look at. Brilliant. Then what in this framework, my suggestion and my feeling is that it's cool to work in an anti-clockwise direction. So we're looking at anti-clockwise undoing, unveiling, unraveling backwards, trying to unpick what's gone on. So this seems to make perfect sense to move around to the north. And where I am now, the north's over there. The north is connected to the element of earth. It's about grounding. It's about stability. It's around connection. And it's all focused around the physical plane. So a lot of what we do in especially in the West at the moment is we focus on one or the other of those. It's either physical, where apple a day keeps the doctor away, you must eat your greens, you know, we're taught the physical, you must get some physical exercise. And for 200 years or so, we've been taught that the head's chopped off the body. Just sort the physical symptoms out. If you feel anything, it's, you know, let's just mask the symptom. Not realizing that actually the roots of that symptom went way before you started to feel it. It's come from a different space. So we're quite used to in modern medicine the physical. Yeah, we've just started in the last few years to look at the mental. So, but one or the other, we don't seem to put them together. Sometimes it's like, yeah, if you do a bit of exercise, you'll feel better. But really understanding the connection between the two, the mind-body connection, is the most powerful thing in the world. So those two have, you know, we need to get more balance there, and it makes sense to then understand what's going on first, because otherwise you can't engage with anything. If you're too caught in your sympathetic nervous response, you don't know why or what's going on, you can't access anything else. So that for me has to come first. Then we move round to the north, grounding, stability, safety, building in connections, building in your campfire. Who's your support squad? Where's your space? Where's your place? Territory mapping, life landscape. What does life look like to you? And building in that really solid safety framework. And then we move around again to the west. The west's over there in my garden. The west is my element that I had to work so hard on because it was so difficult for me. It's the element of water. So west, water, and that's connected to the emotional plane, and a lot of us really struggle with that, even if we have a good concept of the mental and the physical. Hello, Simba. My cat's going to come and say hi now. Hello. We don't have really good grasp of what's going on in the West in terms of our emotions. And when I talk about emotions, I talk about getting into flow, talk about emotional release, talking about trauma release, understanding the impact on the mind and the body, how we need to get in touch with our emotions, regardless of gender, age, demographic, background, experiences. We have to be able to get a good flow of emotional release, so we don't just mask things and suppress things and keep them hidden and locked away. And there's lots of cool ways to do that. You know, it's real deep shadow work happens in the West, but it's really supported by the power animal in the medicine space I work in is the jaguar, mother jaguar. It's all around working really, really powerfully with a lot of strength and really softly. You coming up here, babes? Come meet my familiar. This is Simba. His sister's not here at the moment, but it is around mother jaguar. It's around walking softly. Oh, you're on the mic, aren't you? I might cut that out. Let's see. Mother jaguar, the medicine of the West and water and emotional realm, is around. The jaguar has no predator and just knows, and it has a deep inner strength, and its ability to process what's happening to it all along the way, and to be really strong and resilient, but with grace and beauty, is the medicine that we get from the West. And there's lots of different ways to do that, but I think it's a really important one for us all at the moment collectively, because we really put a block on that and we don't do much work with that. And then if we move on to the final direction, which is right where you are now, it's the south. And the south is the element of fire. The element of fire, and it's around soul, spirit, and it's around transformation. It's serpent medicine. It's shedding the old and transforming into the new. Thank you, aeroplane. The south, you can see with serpent medicine and fire, it is around transformation. It's around metamorphosizing the old. It's about stepping into the new. It's about shedding your skin, and it's around the soul, and it's around your spiritual development, and it's around finding your identity, your passion, your purpose. And you can't do that. You can't jump straight into that if you have no idea what's going on in your mind and your body and what's going on. And you can't do that if you've not had the shadow work, the emotional release that's needed so desperately for you to be able to release what no longer serves you. Because trust me, it takes up a lot of bandwidth. If you're still hanging on to shit that's gone on since the moment you were born, and you've never had a space to understand it, to create safety, or to process and release it, then you don't have any bandwidth for any change or anything new to come in. All you can do is go around in the same loops, same over and over and over again. And it's painful and it's tiring and it's exhausting. So we need to create space where we understand all of this as a framework, and then we finish it off with that spiritual development. And that's however it looks for you. It doesn't have to be woo-woo, it doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be associated with anything in particular, or it can be in line with your current spiritual path. It's the whole point is it's person-centered, and it's down to you what you want, what you need, and what happens when you start to uncover these things. So this is what Mojo School is all about. And I've built these courses in. There's 4 to each direction, each area. There's a lot of numerology within this as well. So there's a lot of number 4, stability, safety, grounding, 4 pillars. So we have 4 departments. A lot of the special offer pricing and a lot of the full pricing is based around numerology. So we're going full woo with this because those of you that know, there's a lot of power in these symbols and these kind of things. So we're working with that in a deep way, even under the surface. So we are looking at 4 courses in each area, but we also have lots of additional resources. For example, I have a really cool orientation course. And although when I launch tomorrow, I'm going to be launching with the courses that you voted for. So I know that these courses are going to be so impactful to your daily life. So the 5-step anxiety hack, instant tools, instant relief, and a strategy to be able to get you from where you are to where you want to be. It's just crucial. It'll make you feel so much better. So if that's the only thing you do, jump on it because it will help. I Think Yourself Well got the most votes, and that is around the power of positive thinking. It's around using neuroplasticity, brain reprogramming. Again, instant tools, instant relief, penny drop moments, and then long-term strategy. Lots of downloadables, lots of templates, lots of tools, lots of quizzes, really cool stuff in there. And this is what you guys have voted on. So they're the ones we're going to launch with. But to make things easy, I have a main, which you'll see once I do launch on the main homepage. I have an orientation and grounding course. So once we've had our launch and that's all out there and done, I'm going to be trying to filter people through this space where the whole point of this is there's so much conflicting information. There's too much information, there's too much overwhelm. People are just scrolling mindlessly trying to find something that will fill the void or help or numb them up or, give them a distraction. So I know that too much information is not going to be useful, and it's going to be more confusing, and then it flicks off the sympathetic nervous system response that shuts you off. So what I've created is a way in to the school. And when you hit the homepage, this is the first real thing you'll really come across, is an introductory course called Orientation and Grounding. And this is the space where I'll talk in a lot more detail about the medicine wheel framework. So I will start off by talking to you about how that works and what you would experience within the walls of the school, the digital school. And then we go on within this orientation and grounding to assess. There's loads of assessment tools around your emotional needs, around what your life is looking like. We do the classic Mindset Mojo technique that I've done for 10 years now is the classic wheel of life. We look at scoring things and seeing where you're at. So there's a couple of different assessments in there, the ONS4, so you get a really good guide of where you're at and what's going on for you and where the issues might be springing from. There's also spirit ally quiz. So there's a little fun quiz to help you work out what your spirit ally is, what you connect with the most, and then which way to go from there. And usually, you can either stick with your spirit animal direction, start in that direction, because that's where your strengths are and that's where you will flourish. Or you can do what I did and look at the opposite, because that's what you need, is the balance. So there's lots of information there for you. You then go on to curate your territory map. So you will have maybe seen my interview with the lovely Anthony Willoughby about his concept, and that's my way of bringing his framework in as much as I can. Is we're going to do a very basic territory map or life landscape. So you will start to draw out and look at and assess what is going on for you in your space, and it's the most powerful tool I've ever worked with. I do it everywhere with everyone. It's really cool. So we do that, and once you've done that, you've got your assessments, you've got your spirit ally, you have your territory map, then we go on to curate your wellness passport. So there's a downloadable resource there that you can keep with you as your new friend. And you know, what uses a map without a journey and a passport to go on? So you use both of those things to support your journey through whatever you're going to do, whether that's using the courses and resources within Mojo School, or whether it's external stuff that you're doing, goal setting. There's lots of space in there for lots of different things to keep you on track, keep those dopamine hits coming, keep you feeling good, and keep you in a space that's really conducive to longer term change. And there's spaces in there for each of the departments at Mojo School. So the plan is to sort of put you in the right direction for what you need at the time, and then you can slowly work your way around the courses and resources in your own time that work for you, and you've always got that support. And the real benefit is, if is the membership space, is the space there where we've got the community. So when you're signing up for things, you'll be able to have support of people who are on a similar journey to you, and it's not having to go into a room full of people. It's that digital space that everyone seems to connect with so well, but I want to foster a more positive digital space. So I'm not looking at the usual social media platforms where there's so much toxicity, negativity, so much trolling. This is people who are on your same journey and who are like-minded and can really help support and lift each other up. So there's lots of different ways to be able to use that, and this is how I'm bringing the medicine wheel and that balance and that holistic health into a really cool technical space on your terms, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and in a space that is really very much person-centered, what you want and what you need at the time, and led by you. And it's a digital space, so it's safe, and it's how people engage at the moment. It's how people seem to want to do things. So I've tried to take all of those things into account and create this space. I am going to do some physical stuff, yes. I am going to do something. I'm going to have some workshops. I'm going to have some events in the future where we can come together once things are built a little bit, and hopefully we'll have a little Mojo revolution and Mojo community where we can do some really nice retreat type events. But that's going to be a slow build. You know, I'm not putting any pressure on myself or my community out there. It will come when it comes, and that's okay. But yes, I have got that potential built in. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about before, and I've gone on for quite a while with my little Zen garden speech today, is I want to talk to you about the ways that you can get involved. So obviously, you know, as much liking and sharing and all that awful stuff that we have to do on socials as possible, you know, try and help me spread the word, because this is part of the process of collective change as well as individual change. So that I would be most grateful for that. Get yourself signed up. Get yourself signed up on Mojo School when it all goes live. Get yourself registered. Enroll in the school. Class is in session, and you can either hop on a course of your choice. You know, the orientation and grounding one's great if you don't know where to start. It's just perfect intro. Or maybe you want to do the 5-step anxiety hack or think yourself well, be the ones that I'll be promoting the most. Jump on them. You know, they're going to be reduced rate. Each course is valued at £111. So we have the 111 in there for those of you that understand the spiritual relevance of numerology. And I'm slashing them down to 44 quid. 44 quid. And there's so much in there. So the course is going to be 44 quid for a limited time. Jump on one, sign up. You'll be helping me to create a space. The more sales I can get, the more I can invest in getting the word out there and building. So you'll be doing such a great thing for the community and for other people, but you are going to be absolutely changing your own life, because the stuff it's good stuff. So get yourself signed up to a course. If you want to pay as you go, then you can just literally, whenever you feel like doing a course or something takes your fancy, then you just do it. Just do one. Jump on a course, pay for it, off you go. You've got it for life then. It's just on there. But if you do want to get a little bit more involved, I've set up some membership tiers. So there's 3 why did I do that? I never do that. 3 tiers of membership. And this is the goal for me. This is what I really want to do. I want to build this community, and I want to build this space globally. And those of you that know me will know that I am all around the social value, and I own a community interest company. I'm one of the directors for that. And my passion is creating long-term change, and we never can do that without any funding. So part of my funding strategy is, if I can get some really big global membership going, then I can fund what goes on there, and I can do really, really good stuff with the social enterprise and with building and continuing to create this great space. And it's a numbers game, and I'm not very good at that. I'm not a salesperson. I hate it. I don't like it, but I recognize what I need to do at this point. And so the memberships are going to be the really important thing for me. And if I can create this global membership, Mojo members, the value for the individuals is going to be there tenfold, but also we're going to be able to do some really good stuff with it. And it's a collective space to Robin Hood it, to put some money not into the toxic stuff that people are paying memberships for. They don't even know they've got paying them for, or spending money on a couple of pints in the pub at the weekend, or a Costa, or whatever else it is. This is like collective space where we can invest money in the future, and trust me to filter it into a good space. So yeah, so the first membership tier is, the basic membership is $8.99 a month. I mean, people are paying $8.99 a month for ridiculous things that they're not even using. And for that, you get access to all of the East. So the whole, all of the Mindset Mojo stuff, all of the top-down stuff. It's worth, I think it's worth about 600 quid. And you also get the orientation and grounding. You get the resources, the downloadables, the videos. There's some meditations in there. There's some affirmations in there. There's templates. There's planners. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And also that specific community. So you'll be able to jump on that, and that's $8.99 a month. Then the next level up is the full membership, which is $14.99 a month, and that is going to give you access to the entire school. So the whole of the medicine wheel. So it's 18 in total. So you've got the 16 courses around the medicine wheel, the orientation and grounding, and there's a gratitude revolution one. So it's a real, just so much stuff in there. It's worth £2,000, I think. So that's massive, that's huge, and that will give you access to everything and all the community spaces. And I do have one more tier, which is kind of the, although I hate to use the terminology, it's the VIP, access all areas, and mastermind community. So £24.99 a month. And bearing in mind what coaching costs, I am opening up the space. You get all access to everything, all of the courses, all of the resources, everything that you want to work through. But I'm also going to jump on digitally and do some live mastermind group coaching calls once a month. You get that, which is worth its weight in gold. I think this particular package is worth about £6,500. Minimum. I probably well underpriced it anyway with what I'm going to put in there, but that's the minimum. You can see the value added. And I'm also going to have specific sort of access all areas content. There's a specific community space in there for added support. There's also really in-depth, 2 very in-depth coaching programs that have been filmed and edited that are on there. They're not on the actual normal school bit because it's me doing my coaching, but it's put into a digital format, so they're really in-depth and really complex. One is for people who are addicted, specifically for people who are addicted to self-help tools. So anyone out there who has been through 1,000,001 different things to try and get themselves out of the swamp they're in, and it hasn't worked, this is for you. And there's another one specifically for my cohort. So for women over 40, I have a really good coaching program in there at the moment, which is massively valuable. And I will be putting, as we go, if you're one of the Access All Areas members, I'm going to be doing more coaching programs. Depending on the kind of membership that we have, I'm going to retailor it for the demographic that signs up for that particular tier. So that's it. It's ready to go. It's a life's work. It's important stuff that we need right now for change. And I'm really excited to bring some great friends in for some of the modules, some of the courses. I'm going to be doing an affiliate program for the right aligned people who are working in a similar space who want to get involved with that. So there's space there for people to get involved with the revolution in a business capacity. The podcast, people who are going to be doing some special guest talks with me on the podcast. I'm going to be looking at doing some filming for their businesses, their practices. They'll be part of Mojo School in the relevant department, and also then link in and cross-link in with their practices and their businesses. So we really need to start building this from the foundations up. So I'm dead excited, can you tell? I can't wait. So tomorrow, pressing the button, you're going to be able to get access. Jump on, share it with absolutely everybody you possibly can for me. Sing it from the rooftops. Understand that I am not a salesperson, and I am really quite bad at social media. And that is my biggest pinch point, is I have all this amazing stuff that I cannot get out there without your help. So this is my call to action. I need you guys. We need this Mojo revolution to begin.